Good afternoon, YWCA viewers. I am Miranda Von Fricken, and I have the honor of speaking with Dr. Shai Butler in this final episode from Season 2 of The Butterfly Effect, sponsored by Pursuit. Pursuit provides businesses with affordable loans and resources that allow them to transform and grow. As an Albany-based, community-focused lender, Pursuit is 100% invested in the success of their clients, and we are so grateful for their support of this series. If you're a small business owner looking for funds to start, grow, or recover, you can learn more at pursuitlending.com. Now, back to our show. The Butterfly Effect, an empowerment series where volunteer hosts interview inspiring women in our community. Today, we have Dr. Shai Butler. Dr. Shai, I have a beautiful bio here for you. Dr. Shai, known to her students, currently serves as the Vice President for Advancement of External Affairs at Springfield Technical Community College, a new role after spending 14 years as the VP for Student Development and Chief Diversity Officer at the College of St. Rose. Dr. Shai was educated at the University of Albany, where she earned both bachelor's and master's degrees. In 2014, she earned a doctoral degree in law and policy at Northeastern University in Boston. With over 2 decades of experience in higher education and diversity work, Dr. Butler has emerged as a speaker, writer, and influencer on diversity, equity, and inclusion, women's leadership, mentorship, sponsorship, and professional development. She's an executive contributor for the premier industry global publication higheredjobs.com. A Brooklyn native, woman of strong faith, and resident of the Capital Region for over 25 years, she speaks openly about overcoming early life adversity as a teen mom and college dropout. She's married to her best friend, has 3 beautiful children, and we are honored to have her here today. Hello, Dr. Shai. How are you?
Hello, Miranda. I'm so excited to be here. So good to see you.
It's great to see you.
Sunny spot.
You are bright and sunny. Look at you with that gorgeous pink on.
Thank you.
Dr. Shai, I love bios because they say the best of what's going on in our world, right? But I'm curious what's not in your bio. If you'd like to tell us anything extra that wasn't in there, what you want to share with the world, a little bit about you.
Yeah, certainly. Well, for the same reason, Miranda, bios usually pick out the best of what's going on in our lives, right now. But I guess I will lead in with a little bit about me by starting to tell everyone that, so I'm writing a book, it's my memoirs. So I'm putting it out there. I'm telling all about me because I'm pretty much an authentic and transparent person. So I'm a little nervous about being this transparent, but I'm saying all of this to say my chapter 1 is titled A Hot Mess. So when you ask me to tell me about me, when you want to know more about me, at one point in my life, that's where I was. And I like to start it there because sometimes people hear, oh, doctor this, VP that, and they don't understand that it's a journey. I didn't wake up that way. And it is a process. And I still stumble. And I talk about that in the book. And I just try to just be real and be authentic.
I love that. When does this book come out? When can we get our hands on it?
June 2022, and the title that I'm working around with, if my editors don't change it, but I love it. It's called Better Not Perfect.
I love it. That's wonderful.
We're on this journey, right? And sometimes we say I'm not a perfectionist. I don't want to be perfect. That's not what I'm seeking. But in reality, that's not what we live. That's not how we show up. We show up trying to be the imperfect perfect, right? And so I just talk about how even at this stage of my life, what I've gone through, from where I started, from a hot mess, I'm better, but I'm still perfect.
What is perfect to you? Like, how would you just define it?
I think perfect is defined by each individual based on how they feel they need to show up for their peer group. So if perfect means I've got the Center Hall Colonial 2-car garage, husband, 2.5 kids and a dog, then they're perfect. If perfect means, I am this, banging career woman, going to work in my, Jimmy Choo's and my, you know,
All right.
That's their idea of perfect.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, my idea of perfect, I think, was being able to be the perfect wife, mom, and career woman. And part of what I talk about in the book is how I was failing at all of those things because of this pursuit of perfection.
Ugh. It's heavy, right? Like it's heavy trying to be whatever. Even if we define perfect for ourselves, we still put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
How do you take that pressure off of yourself? And maybe we'll learn more about this in the book. Tell me if I'm asking too many book questions.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, how would you take that pressure off yourself and maybe even give some advice to the women watching how they can take some pressure off themselves to not try to be that perfect person?
Yeah, it's a journey. And it's a process. And, you know, it takes a village.
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
I mean, you know that old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise an imperfect woman.
Yeah.
Because the truth is that I'm still figuring out how on a day-to-day not to add this extra pressure. There's enough pressure from externally, right? From the world for us to show up and show up without mistakes. So, you know, I take a holistic approach. You know, I've gotten better about carving out time that's just for me, doing something that I like to do. But it was even a process to figure out, well, what do I like to do? You know,
Self-awareness is a lifelong journey.
Yeah, you know, and what do I like to do now? You know, if you asked me 20 years ago, what do I like to do? I'd say, oh, I like to golf. If you asked me 10 years ago, what you like to do? You know, I was playing around with making jewelry. But, you know, it has evolved. And so, but part of that, what I like to do, and also self-care, you know, and I know we say that word a lot, but when you're in self-care mode, are you present? Are you really in the moment? Or are you just saying, oh, I'm going to go get a pedicure, it's self-care? Let me tell you, the last few pedicures that were supposed to be self-care for me were anything but.
Are you working on your cell phone?
I'm like doing that. I'm taking calls from like friends in crisis and trying to give advice and, you know, and real hushed tone, so I'm not disturbing the woman in the chair next to me.
Right.
But it's like, okay, turn it off and be tuned in, be mindful, be present. You know, and even if you're sitting still and you're not on your phone, is your mind racing? Slow it down, you know. And so doing that, and then I like to call scaffolding. So, you know, I believe in scaffolding. I have, you know, mentors. I have, you know, friends as part of my village. You know, I have, you know, a counselor, therapist. I talk about that. I think everyone should. I mean, you cannot be in this like day to day. You know, I kind of backdoored my way into therapy. I lost my mom, and I went through grief counseling, and you know, that was 7-8 years ago. And so when I went to get help with letting my grief out in a healthy way, I learned that, you know, the reason that my grief was coming out in unhealthy ways was because I had other work to do. So I stuck around for the other work.
Good for you. Oh, that's amazing. What a great message in itself. Like you go for one thing, but obviously it uncovers other things and you stick around to continue to do the work. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry about your mother.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, so you said you have mentors, and that is a huge thing that, especially in education, right? So you have a huge job in the industry of education, and mentorship is a huge part of that. Can you tell me not only what you do as a mentor, but maybe who your mentors were?
Sure. I came into getting mentors later in life. You know, I was this rogue. I can do it alone, do it by myself. I don't need anybody, you know.
We're the same person.
Yeah. And then really some of behind that was I didn't know how to open up, like really open up. So, and I knew for a mentoring relationship to be successful, I had to overcome that fear of making connections, letting people in and opening up. So, when I was finally able to do that, I found that mentors can come in many different packages and for many different purposes. So at first, when I got my first mentor, I thought it was all about career. And so, but then I kept finding I was having conversations that bled outside of career. And I noticed this too with my mentees, right? So I noticed that what starts off as a career mentoring, it's hard to, when someone wants to talk about, okay, now I'm thinking about going back for a master's degree or finishing my bachelor's or, pursuing a doctorate, what do I do? Now we have to talk about if that person is in a family structure, okay, what does that mean for your children? What does that mean? And then we start talking about what does that mean for your friendships? What does that mean? So for me, I wasn't finding that I could get all of my answers in one person. So now I have like a family mentor, so a woman who has had success in a similarly structured. I'm in a more traditional family structure with a husband and children. So I found a woman who has successfully been through that, and she's older and she provides great counsel to me on that. But there are times that I was a single mom, and I relied on other women to mentor me during that phase of my life. Certainly I still have career mentors, and I'll add that I have sponsors now too. So that's people who are in higher positions than me who are able to provide access for me to have certain opportunities. So
I love that. I love that you defined it too for us, because not everyone really knows the difference, right, between mentorship and sponsorship, and it is a distinct difference. So thank you for describing that. With your mentorship, being a mentor yourself, what's the best advice that you could give someone who's coming to you, unsure of their journey, whether it's professional or personal? What do you think is the best advice that you could give them?
Wow. I would probably say I'm a believer in doing what you love, and the universe and God will open up a path for you. I do really believe that sometimes we spend so much time in deficit mindset and thinking about all the things that we need to build about ourselves, things that are wrong that we need to work on. And we do need to work on those things. But I can tell you that sometimes I have been in jobs or pursued things that really, I just weren't good. I got into a job one time where I just had to sit and crunch numbers all day. Because I thought it was a different type of job. So I guess one piece of advice I would say is do your research and get an internship, and figure out what the day-to-day is before you say yes to this job. But I was like in this cubicle crunching numbers all day. If anybody watching this knows me at all, that is not me.
Seriously. Right? I met you like twice, and I think I already know that's not you.
It's not me, right? But I'm like, I can make this work. I had this fancy title. It was like, I can make this work. And
you're like, I use Roman numerals. It'll be fancy.
Yeah. No, the job was what it was.
Right.
And so, I guess the advice would be do your homework. When you find out it really isn't what you thought it was, professionally cut your losses. Don't stick around someplace trying to make something work that is just not you.
I think sometimes people get caught up in I don't want to look like a job hopper.
Right.
But do you also want to be a person who's miserable and hates going to work every day and feels like they're failing because they're in a position that's not for them?
Right. Right. And that's why I said professionally think about, sometimes it's easy to be someplace you hate if you got your escape route planned out. And you got a timeline on it, it's like, okay, I can show up today and, and not, even if there was this one job, oh my God, I worked on the 9th floor. I cried from floors 1 through 8 and then wiped my face and got off the elevator at the 9th floor and did my job. And I did that for a year. As I was gracefully planning my exit.
Wrote your resignation letter 6 months in advance.
But this stuff follows you. And if you're here, if people are watching in the Capital Region, I may work in Massachusetts, but I'm still a resident of Capital Region. This is my community. I've been here over 25 years. Everyone knows everyone and everyone talks. So you definitely don't want to burn bridges, So I do tell my mentees, I talk about not burning bridges.
That's awesome. So speaking of your work then, tell me a little about what you do and what really excites you about that role.
Sure. So this is a new role for me, and I'm really excited because it's like Providence, right? That it came together the way that it did. Providence, but then not really too, because you have to work it. Like I got this job from networking, and so I can't underestimate. I can't overestimate the value of networking and meeting people and always showing up as your best self, even in situations where you may be you think there's nothing on the line. So in this current role as vice president for advancement, the advancement piece is the fundraising aspect of it. I've never held a formal title in development or advancement, but I've done the work in the positions I've been in my past roles as chief diversity officer and as student development vice president, because I would raise funds for different projects, doing committee work, visit foundations, going on visits, writing grant proposals, concept papers. So I think sometimes as women particularly, we get caught up in, I haven't had this title, or I haven't had this function, and this job description says that I need to do this thing, or they're looking for this thing. And I would argue that we need to maybe just take a step back, and even if you don't have the next title that makes sense, like if you're talking about going for a director role and you say, well, I haven't been an assistant director or an associate director, so I can't apply for that director role. Yes, you can. If you can parlay and see what they're looking for and find spaces in your job or in your past jobs where you've done that, or in your community work, your volunteerism, where you've done that, then write it up, put it together, and then you go in and make the case and sell yourself. So that's kind of how I've parlayed the role that I have now, using some of what I've done from the past. And the other part of my job is external affairs. And in my portfolio includes marketing and branding. And so in external affairs, it also includes government relations. So all of those things, community relations too, all of those things I've done in some capacity, but not in a formal role.
I should have asked, what don't you do in your current role?
Isn't it just like a woman? We do it all.
I mean, you sure do. Even if it's not in the job description, I feel like we just throw it in there because we can. Kind of crazy. So speaking of being a woman, how does your identity of being a woman play a role in the industry that you're in higher education?
Well, I can tell you, on one side of the house, advancement is there's a lot of women represented in that side of the house. Not a lot of women of color, but certainly many women are in the fundraising world. In external affairs, however, particularly government affairs, you don't see a lot of women. And I'm often in the room where I'm with senior politicians at the state level, at the U.S. House of Representative level, at the local level. And crazy enough, I am sometimes the only woman in the room, or one of few women in the room. So I would say, there's certainly a need for more women in elected offices at the state level, at the national level, in terms of state representation. And so I'm learning, navigating in that environment, what it feels like to be underrepresented in a different way, from a perspective of gender, but also from a perspective of race.
Of course. Where do you get your strength in order to do that, to be one of the few or only women or women of color in a room?
I would say my strength would come from my youth. One of the things that inspired me when I was young was just having poured into me. So all of you mothers who are watching, or aspiring mothers, think about this. I think that's a lot of my success in life I would dedicate to a mother who spoke greatness into me, who spoke positivity into me, an aunt who also spoke life into me, spoke and exposed me. She would always buy me books. There was one book as a child, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and it's about a a seagull who wanted to soar, but kept being told seagulls don't soar. And I mean, she must have given me this when I was in third grade. And, I won't, spoiler alert, I won't ruin the book for you, but
we'll put the Amazon link below.
Yeah. But it was, being positively affirmed as a young girl helped me have the confidence I needed as a woman to go into certain spaces and know who I was, so that I could stand erect, heel to heel, toe to toe with any person that's standing beside me, and show up as a partner and realize that no one is any better than me and no one's any worse than me, but that we're all just humans trying to have this experience together. And some may be gifted in one area and some may be gifted in others, but a strong sense of identity helps me to stay focused and grounded in these spaces and places where I'm one of few.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that's going to help a lot of the women watching today who look up to you and aspire to lead like you do, whether in education or just in life or community in general. So that's an awesome message. Thank you.
Thank you
for sharing. So in this moment of greatness, in the season of giving thanks, what are you thankful for these days?
I'm thankful. I'm thankful that there is a YWCA for women to go who are in crisis, for women to go who just want to build up and create a village for themselves, and to build scaffolding and become better leaders and role models and mothers, if that's their choice. So whatever they want in life, I'm glad that there's a place that's uniquely designed for them. So I want to say that first, and I want to say thank you to the Y for giving me this opportunity, to the YW for this opportunity. I'm thankful for family. I'm certainly thankful for family. I'm thankful for the fact that that we have come through COVID with minimal loss. I won't say any, but with minimal loss. I'm thankful that we could show up for people who had great loss. I'm grateful that I'm a part of a family and a village who believes in that, who believes in showing up for others. I'm grateful for this new career opportunity. I'm thankful for opportunities in general. And I would say for the women listening today, opportunities are going to come. They will. Their life has its ups and downs. Life has its highs and lows and its challenges. And there have been times, we've been talking a lot today about my highs. The book, Better Not Perfect, goes into those lows and then how the highs came about. But in those low moments, I'm thankful that I didn't stay down, that while I might have been down, my mindset was up. My mindset was elevated beyond my circumstances. And so if we can hold on to positivity, not for just the sake of positivity, but faith and hope that things will get better, because they will, then we can continue to hone our skills, develop ourselves, and build up and be ready for that moment. And so I'm thankful for having that spirit of positivity. That sometimes is natural and sometimes I have to work myself into.
It's not a fake it before you make it, but it's definitely like that sense of, I'm going to put it out there before I really feel it, right? Yeah. So you can start to feel it. Yeah. Sometimes just saying it out loud gives you that spark. It's like you don't want to go to the gym, but you go and then all of a sudden you're motivated mid-treadmill.
It's so true. It's so true. Thanks for that reminder, Miranda. I'm just going to get to the gym.
Get moving. No, my gosh, that's so funny. I love this. So, showing up, right, is half the battle, right? So you mentioned showing up, find your tribe, be positive, do the work, and mentor others, pay it forward. Thank you so much for these amazing words, for this time together. Friends, you can be sure to follow Dr. Shai Butler on LinkedIn. You have a website. I'm sure anywhere there's social media, you can find more about her and connect with her and learn more of her story. So thank you.
The website is drshaibutler.com. SHAIBUTLER.com.
And we can find your podcast too, which I saw that you have.
Yes, on Facebook. Just request to join. It's called Power Couple Podcast, and it because my husband's also Dr. Odo Butler, so people always refer to us as a power couple. Mm-hmm. But we've done this podcast with a different spin, and the spin is the power of love. I love so check it out.
Dr. Loves. Two Dr. Loves, 2 for 1. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Dr. Shea and the YWCA for hosting this episode. In closing, we'd like to remind the audience that we are at the YWCA accepting nominations for the 39th Annual Achievement Awards Luncheon being held on March 24th at the Rivers Casino. Nomination forms can be found on the YWCA's website, which is ywca-neny.org, and must be submitted by 11/24. Thank you for today, and be sure to follow YWCA Northeastern New York's Facebook page for information on season 3, as this is our last episode in season 2 for the Butterfly Effect. And thank you to Pursuit for being our sponsor. It was lovely to speak with you today. I can't wait to see you again soon in person so I can hug on you and get all that hot pink energy.
Yay, Miranda. Love you, girl. Great job.
Love you. Have an awesome day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
We're just gonna keep smiling.
I know.
It's like our outtake bloopers. Oh, it's still
we can't
hear you. We are still live. That's okay. We're having some technical difficulties on our end.
Listen, I keep talking, but I know Dr. Shea has a meeting, so.
Yes. So what I'm going to ask the two of you to do is to kindly exit out of the screen. And I will close the show off from the back end. You both did an amazing job. The audience was very engaged. I am so honored to know the two of you, and I look forward to future conversations. So
Absolutely.
Have an amazing day, ladies. Mwah.
Oh, mwah. Have an awesome day.
Happy holidays.
Bye.